Hello. Well, I've got a new microphone, and I dare say I sound so much more like myself than before. Don't you agree? Sorry, just kidding. But I did get a new microphone thanks to all of you. Thank you if you're new to this channel. Thank you, loyal viewers. Because of you, I have a Blue Ice Snowball microphone, and I'm chuffed, as we say on Long Island. And I'm so grateful to each and every one of you, really. It's not a roof, but it sure is a start. And I'm profoundly grateful. Today I'm going to be sticking my nose in on the hot topic of Marlena Stell and her Dear Influencers video. At the time of this recording, I glanced before I started recording, and there was upwards of 2,871,000 views. The audience is listening. In it, Marlena describes her experiences with several beauty influencers, both good and bad experiences, and Jaclyn Hill was a large part of that, and let's face it, probably the catalyst for the video itself. The only thing I know about Marlena is in about the last year I've seen her on Twitter, and I had heard about her from Makeup Geek, and of course the James Charles thing where he made a fool of himself over her Netflix work. We'll touch upon that later, but what I saw of her tweets I really liked. And in this video, I sat down and watched the whole thing through, and then I watched it halfway through again from the beginning, and then I watched clips of it. I really wanted to absorb it and internalize what she was saying and try to get a sense of who she was. And I did like what I saw. One thing I noticed, I think it's to her credit that she didn't script her video. She was speaking from the heart. And because of that, she doesn't really give her reasons right away very clearly. And I think the reason is important, because by virtue of making that vlog, she's going to get hate. She's going to get people saying she's a hater and a pile-on. And I know we don't pander to the common denominator, the lowest common denominator. But I think it would have been good to put that right up front in concise language. Simply because I think the whole thing was largely about distancing herself from Jaclyn. That is not a criticism, by the way. I think that's just good business. Because it's become clear to me that what Jaclyn Hill has done is very bad for anybody representing a smaller or indie brand. The one thing they really rely on, and I think Jen Gerard probably blazed a trail with reaching out to her customers, but they really rely on customer confidence, consumer confidence in their product. And what Jaclyn did could easily make people lose confidence and go to those big brands and say, oh, I'm going to stick with what I know works. And that's not good for people like Marlena, who are a smaller company trying to build their brand and need people to know that they care about quality control. And I think this is probably something that bothered Marlena for a while. She had to watch Jaclyn reveal all of this stuff before her launch, and she was probably thinking, how does this woman land on her feet like a cat all the time when she's making all of these mistakes? But the mistakes have caught up with her. And in fact, she does not have a standard of quality control. Marlena scrapped stuff that was no good before she'd send it out, and she made sure she knew what was being sent out. So why didn't Jaclyn? I think the answer is in Jaclyn's behavior, and I've never really looked at it too much because I've never really had an opinion on Jaclyn per se. I suppose a lot of that stuff really doesn't interest me, if I'm being totally honest. But I've noticed, looking at Jaclyn's history, looking at other videos about her, and I'll link some below, Jaclyn has a problem following through in general. She has a history of not being responsible. And you can't run a business if you're not willing to make sure that everything is being checked. Now, she's had videos where she's shown herself going through the problem stuff that she had and how she was fixing it, etc., but I don't believe she did that with this. I think most of the time, Jaclyn is very happy to let other people do the work and coast. And that just can only get you so far. Marlena is there. She's making sure. She knows she's putting her name and face on something and everything's riding on it. She doesn't leave anything to chance. And I don't see that with Jaclyn. This is just my opinion. Jaclyn started an art school and didn't finish. Jaclyn gets a lot of criticism because she had an arrest, and I don't think she should have been arrested for her license being expired, but what is relevant about that is that her license was expired for 6 months. That's Jaclyn. That's why there's hair in the lipstick, because you cannot be somebody who doesn't get things done and put out a product and be the CEO of a company when you can't even get your license? You get your shite together. Stop leaving everything up to everybody else. I mean, is this a princess complex? Is this why mommy sweeps in and fixes and cleans everything? And you need to, at some point, recognize that you have a problem following through on things. You have no foresight. You have no ability to plan. She then took down all of her social media after all of this backlash. And, of course, you all know her mom put up an Instagram post that was very much a pitch for being on Jaclyn's side, saying, oh, you know, thank you so much, all you people who are good, who like Jaclyn and aren't bad like the people who haven't been. It was almost like it was really such a pitch to be on Jaclyn's side, and not her mother's place to say. I have to say I fully understand how a mother at any age that their child becomes would feel protective. I will always feel protective of my son, but at some point you have to cut the cord enough that that person is responsible for their own reputation. They are responsible for the backlash on a product that is subpar and is their fault. That's the one thing that I think they are really having a problem with, is fault. When Jaclyn made her video about her lipsticks, she seemed very resentful that she had to make a video even explaining herself. I think that it's possible her mother has overindulged her to the point all of these years where nothing is ever her responsibility, because she clearly has trouble accepting responsibility and has this sense of entitlement that even when something is her fault, somehow it's everybody else's fault. That's a quality I don't like. And I see it in her in spades. I've seen that in other people too, this kind of smugness and smarminess when you should be apologizing. That is so off-putting. And then she took down everything in a little tantrum and take off social media and this and that, and plays the mental health card again. And I have to tell you, that really left a bad taste in my mouth when Jeffree Star swooped in the past and stopped Here for the Tantrum and T-Spill from doing their collaboration about her. Because, you know, mommy's got this, and he, you know, is like, hey, could you not do that? Thanks, love you so much, we'll do lunch, love you, bye. I can't stand that Hollywood crap, like, I got this, let me just throw my weight around and my fame around, and play this card where they were put in a position that they would have been the jerks if they had continued, that they had no choice but to, in my opinion, they had no choice but to not continue that series lest they look like bullies. And that really wasn't fair. And now here it comes around again. And now she's, her back is up against the wall because of her own doing. She not only sent out bad product, she sent out replacement product that was just as bad, if not worse. Like, how could you possibly do that? I'll tell you how. You let everybody else do everything for you. That's the difference between somebody who just wants to model and collect the paychecks and somebody who's willing to put in the work. And here we see that trying to cut corners or do things in half measures does not pay. That's the difference I see with Marlena Stell. I do have confidence in her product. I have confidence in Gerard Cosmetics, and I will buy from these brands. I haven't even tried a Makeup Geek yet, so stay tuned and I'll review stuff on this channel, and we'll see if there is a difference in the product. I haven't heard of any mass recalls, so that's probably a good sign right there. Now, if you ask me how could Jaclyn possibly salvage this situation, I'll tell you, I think the only way she could would be for a bold show, and that would include not just walking her customers through what had happened, it would include a full accountability. From what I understand, she has offered refunds. That's a start. But then also, you need to come back. You need to say, I'm not going to hide from any of the backlash. I am going to tell you what I think happened, what I've learned. I've really grown. I'm going to keep at this because it really is my dream to be a good businesswoman, to be a good CEO of Makeup You Can Trust. And here's how I'm going to win back your trust. I'm going to show you every step of the way what's happening. And then what she really needs to do, most of all, first and foremost, is to send out PR before her launch, to have enough confidence and be vocal about it. Say, I'm sending this PR package out. That's how confident I am in this new lab and in this new product, and here I am putting it right on my mouth. You are not going to find one problem with my makeup. If you do, contact me immediately, and that's how fast it will be handled. She needs to do all of those things sincerely and with verve. And then perhaps the tides could turn over time. So what do you think? Am I being too hard on Jaclyn Hill? Do you think that there's something I'm not seeing? I'd love to hear your input. And now let's go back to the James Charles thing. I am so glad she brought that up again, because it got people riled up again. I was reading the comments and people were just like so disgusted with him when she was doing the Netflix thing. You know how I saw it? To me, it was like, okay, here's Marlena. She's filming for Netflix, and James Charles gets wind of it and starts going on a Twitter tantrum, and he's actually tells Netflix to contact him because he's been doing research. And like, he'd be better. To me, it seemed so much like a guy standing up at a wedding and interrupting and being like, pick me. Like he went on Marlena's wedding day and tried to stop the wedding and get the groom. Oh, it's not funny what happened to her, because apparently it was very upsetting to her. But I think he just made himself look like a fool. It didn't have anything to do with her. What are your thoughts? I look forward to hearing them, and I will be back soon. So saith the housefrau.